What's up, everybody? I hope everybody is doing well, staying well, and taking care of themselves and staying safe. I just wanted to come on here and make this quick Father's Day video. I try to do one every year on Father's Day. I also do one on Mother's Day, but I also try to do one on Father's Day. So I just wanted to wish all of the fathers, the good fathers out there, a happy Father's Day. Um, I hope that everybody is feeling loved. All the fathers are feeling all the love and appreciation and celebration, and that you all are feeling valued on today just as much as Father's Day. So, happy Father's Day to you all. Just wanted to get on here. This is kind of like a little freestyle video and just share a little Father's Day message for the fathers and the kids and some mothers as well. First, let me start by saying Happy Father's Day to Happy Heavenly Father's Day to my dad and to my grandfather, and Happy Father's Day to my bonus father, Edward Baldwin, and Happy Father's Day to all of my uncles and cousins and nephews that are fathers. Happy Father's Day to you all. Secondly, I want to say this. I am not a father. I am a mother who raised my children as a single woman, as they say. So, a single mother, as you would say. However, my children's fathers were in their life, so we're going to give them that. They were in their life, so I can never be a father. I don't even try to play into that because I just think that's really messed up. I am a mother. I don't even want the role of a father. That was not my job. God didn't give me that job, so I didn't try to do that job. He gave me the role of a mother, so that's where I'm at. So all that happy Father's Day, you're a father and a mother. No, I'm just a mother. I'll take that. I'll give the Father's Day their Father's Day. Amen. All right, second, or not even second. So let me just get into this video real quick, y'all. I just wanted to share a little video and hopefully encourage somebody, but just to talk about my dad because I don't talk about my dad a whole lot. So I just really wanted to talk about my dad on this Father's Day. And just share a little story about our relationship, my relationship with my dad. So, one of the first times that I can remember of one of the first moments or times of my dad is I remember I was like either, I want to say around 4 or 5, no, maybe 5 or 6. And, when you're a little kid, especially with my mom drilled it in my head. Don't let nobody pick you up. Don't let no strangers pick you up. Don't let no stranger danger, and all of the things. Hold on. My mom always had us holding on to her if we went out in public somewhere. She always had us close by her, and don't let go of my arm or my purse. Just hold on to me and don't let nobody. And if somebody do something, you scream, you holler, you all that. So as a kid, I took that to heart. So I remember my mom took me over to see my dad. And we go into the house and all was good, okay? Everything was good until this man tried to pick me up. You guys, and I remember this very, very vividly because I had a straight up meltdown. I went to kicking and screaming and hollering and super punching and all of the things. This big old man that picked me up and he wouldn't put me down. He was trying to kiss on me and he would not put me down. And I just was not having it. And I just remember he finally put me down and I was just, oh my gosh, I was fit to be tied. And then when I got to the car, my mom was so upset with me. She was embarrassed. Why did you act that way? Why did you? And I was just, in my mind, I'm thinking, he's a stranger. Like, I don't remember ever seeing my dad until that point. He was a stranger to me. And so that's the first time that I remember seeing my dad, that I could remember as a kid. And I just remember seeing sprinkles of my dad in my life as I was growing up. I remember on Father's Days, I would always go out to the mall, and it was around the time the it was Michael Jordan's Chicago Bulls, okay? And so I remember going out to the sports stores and getting my dad hats and t-shirts, matching hat and t-shirt with the Chicago Bulls. And I really loved and adored my dad. I really did. Um, and I remember there was another time I was maybe 12 or 13, and I remember my dad came and he got me and he wanted to buy me a bike, so we went and got this bike, and it was a boy's bike. It was a used boy's bike, but let me tell you something, I love that little bike. Why? Because it was from my dad and nobody could tell me nothing. um and I rode that bike. I rode that bike and almost, fractured my pelvic bone, but I was riding that bike. Um, and just the time that I got to spend with my dad, it wasn't a real long time, but I remember that time. Um, and then I just remember my dad walking me down the aisle of my wedding when I got married. And I remember my dad walking me down the aisle. I requested for my dad to walk me down the aisle. And at the time, my grandfather, I think I hurt my grandfather's feelings, not trying to hurt my grandfather's feelings, because my grandfather raised, he was the man in our life. He raised us and stuff. And we were always around him and at church and all of the things. And I think I hurt his feelings, but I wasn't trying to. Every girl desires their dad, to walk them down the aisle. So I wanted my dad to walk me down the aisle. So that is what happened. My dad walked me down the aisle. And I just remember, like I said, just having sprinkles of my dad in my life. He really wasn't consistent. Let's just say that. Um, and I remember it wasn't until I got ready to move to Minnesota, move out of Springfield, Illinois, to move to Minnesota. And I remember it was Thanksgiving, and my dad invited me over for Thanksgiving. This was the first time in my life that I remember my dad reaching out to me. Now, there were times I would call and try to, reach out to him, but I just remember him reaching out to me for this moment. And so at first I started not to go because I was like, I don't know, should I go? This is going to make me feel uncomfortable. And, because we weren't around each other, he didn't know me like that. I didn't know him like that. So I decided to go. And I think that was a turning point, I would say, in me and my dad's relationship, where although the relationship didn't get to where I wanted it to be or where I expected for us to be or thought it should be, I think that it began to get stronger because once I moved to Minnesota, whenever I would go, we began to talk on the phone. Let me just say that. My dad will reach out to me on the phone. He would call me and check on me. Hey, baby. Hey, baby girl. Hey, baby girl. That's what he would call me all the time. And I just remember going, every time I would go home to Springfield, Illinois, I would make it a point to see my dad. Now, my mom, I was always around my mom any old way. I would stay with my mom when I went to Springfield. Everybody know me and my mom was like this, but my dad, I would make it a point to go see my dad and go visit him and sit with him. It doesn't matter. We wasn't doing a lot of talking, but it was just being in each other's presence. And I just remember strengthening that relationship. And I thank God for those moments. And also, I remember a time when I got upset with my dad, and this was after connecting and getting a little closer. And I remember I was so upset, and it come from hurt because I was triggered by something that my dad did, and I was triggered in my adult life by something that he did in my childhood life, and I got so upset. I was just hurt. My feelings was hurt more than anything. And I remember at that moment, I was like, something in my heart told me to just write my dad a letter and just tell my dad how I feel. And because we didn't really talk a lot, I don't think me and my dad really sat down and really talked or had conversations about why he wasn't there or anything like that. So I just felt like writing him a letter was the best thing to do. And so I wrote my dad a letter and I told him how I felt about him. I told him that I did love him so much and that I adored him as my dad. You know, I always wanted to be this daddy's girl. And I also told my dad areas where he hurt me, and where I was hurt at, and that, you know, sometimes I felt like he wanted me, he thought that I was only reaching out to him for money, and that wasn't the case. I was actually reaching out to my dad because I wanted to spend time with him. I wanted to get to know him. I wanted him to get to know me. Um, and so, yeah, it was a lot of hurt and frustration that came out in that letter. And I said it in a respectful way. And I said it in a loving way. And I know my dad received that letter. And so I was glad that I was able to get that off of my chest and out, you know, get that out of my heart, because I really did love and adore my dad, and I cared a lot about him. Um, and so I was thankful for that, that I was able to do that before he passed away. Um, and again, our relationship, you know, is strengthened. He continued to call after that, and we still talked after that, and kept in contact. My dad would call, I would call him from time to time. He would call me. Um, and like I said, the conversations wasn't anything like deep or anything, but it was just the calling and letting, you know, just having the conversation or just saying, hey, how you doing? And, you know, having a couple of laughs or whatever. And so those times were precious to me, and I appreciate being able to have those times with my dad. Um, I wanted to say this too, that I know there's a lot of, I want to say some backlash because people say that Father's Day isn't as celebrated as Mother's Day. And I can agree with that a little bit, but I think there's a reasoning. There may be a little reasoning behind that. And I think, I'm not saying all fathers are like this, because I know that there's some good dads that are present in their children's lives. But I think that the reason, probably, right or wrong, I'm not saying it's wrong or right at all. I think probably the reason that Father's Day doesn't get the same level of celebration is because there are so many people like myself whose fathers weren't present. You know, they didn't show up. They didn't sow into their children's lives. You know, they weren't able to. Let me just say that for whatever reason, they weren't able to sow into their children's lives or be present in their children's lives. And so there may be a lot of resentment in Father's Day, you know, in celebrating Father's Day, because a lot of kids feel like their fathers may have abandoned them. So I think that may be the reason why Father's Day don't get a lot of, you know, celebration. I don't know. But all I can say is that I hope that all of the good fathers, the ones who are present, the ones who have been present, the ones who fight for their kids, the ones who encourage their kids, the ones who uplift their kids, the ones who show up for their kids consistently, I hope that you are celebrated and appreciated. And I want to say this for the ones who aren't or who didn't do that, that there is no time like the present to make it right with your children. Again, when I say me and my dad, we didn't have a stronger relationship until I got older, and even in that, I could say it wasn't what I wanted it to be, even in that, but I can see where God strengthened our relationship when I got older, and I was grateful and appreciative of that. So to the fathers who weren't able, for whatever reason, to be in your children's lives when they were younger, there's no time like the present to make it right. If you have breath in your body and you're able, there's no time like the present to build, to reach out, to show love, to show up, to do all of the things that you couldn't, didn't, or should have done and didn't do with your child and in your children's lives. So with that, I will hop on off of here. Again, I'm wishing all of the good fathers happy Father's Day. And to everyone, I pray and hope you stay well and continue to be the best version of yourself that God created you to be. Peace.